how many resources are there? There's LinkedIn, there's Glassdoor, there's ChatGPT. You could ask any kind of search, what is the range for this role at this company? And you could nail in a pretty accurate salary window. So if the window is 100 to 125 and they give you 105,
Ooh,
then
Core,
you can
Lindsay, you
know
got that good job. I like the numbers you're using. Go ahead.
but you know what I'm saying? Like maybe you're not going to get to 125, but you might get to 115, which if you started off at 105, it'll take you several years of promotions and advancements to get to 115 when you could have just started off there in the first place.
Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I am your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Corlin, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
All right, enough playing around, ladies. Welcome to another episode of Lead Like a Girl.
Right in here.
Thank you so much for our new followers on TikTok, and we're going to ask you to go to YouTube if you are listening and hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and all of the good stuff. So let's jump right in. We are talking about an exciting topic today, and I really hope that there's someone out there that is like myself in the job market and can really put this to the test, because I want to hear your feedback. If anyone out there is to the point where they're going to be negotiating salaries, right? I hope that we're going to share some tips tonight that you can use in real life examples and let us know how they work. Now, you know what we like to do here. We like to empower everyday women through our storytelling. So we're going to share the good, the bad, and the funny of our salary negotiation stories. So I hope you ladies are ready for this, because I have some questions for you to get us kicked off. So the first question.
Do you get to answer the first question?
Yeah.
To set the tone.
No. So the first question, I'm going to start with Jamie, just because I know that she is the most recent job hire person here on this panel. So Jamie, it's probably fresh in your head. What is the craziest thing, if there's anything outside of just normal pay, that you have negotiated into your salary negotiation outside of just regular pay?
Are you reading my mind? That was absolutely
we often do
something.
that. That is not a surprise. We're
Right,
connected
right.
by some other. We're connected by the Bermuda Triangle or something.
I
Tell me.
love this. Okay, so
I don't know the answer to this, by the way. So
Oh
and if you
no,
told
this is
me, I
completely new. I think I woke up at about 3 a.m. last night thinking about like, what's the answer to this? Like how anyway, I was in a position where I'm very happy, right? I had a decent salary, I had a decent benefits and all of that. But one of the things was I had a company car that I had to, so I had to drive to work and then drive the company car all day long, which is fine.
Okay.
No big deal.
So you're in the field.
Yeah. And I got recruited, and the company that recruited me was truthfully about twice my salary.
Oh, nice.
And I went to my current boss and I said, hey, look, I have an opportunity. I'm like, they're going to double my salary. I mean, they're offering to double my salary. So I don't really want to leave you. But I got to figure out a way to like make it worth my while to stay.
Yeah.
And one of the things I brought up was extra time off. And can I take the work car home? Like, can I just take my work car home, use it for whatever I want to use it for? They paid for the gas, they paid for the insurance, they paid for whatever. And I'm like, I thought about it. I was like, this is not necessarily like a straight up, financial benefit, but yes, it is. Like it was very much a convenience benefit. And he's like, yeah, whatever. So I went from being able to just have to, like, I was able to take my work car home, drive my daughter to school in my work car, and just start the day from home, do whatever I had to do, outside sales, of course. And, they paid for the gas, they paid for the insurance, whatever. And that was like a perk that maybe wasn't financially the same as doubling my salary, but it was so convenient for me.
It's still
totally.
And you take in consideration all of what you're going through now, learning a new industry, changing jobs, learning a new protocol and all the things. There's a cost associated with that and expense. So not having to do that, but still move in the direction of more what you want, that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. It's like you don't think about it as like a financial perk, but it is. It is. But it's just like, that made my life so much easier.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Corlin, tell me if you can talk to yourself 10 years ago, your 10 years ago self, Corlin. We were talking about future, now past. So Corlin in the past, what advice in this area would you give yourself if looking back?
Oh my God.
Well, I would say there have been there's been so many opportunities for me to ask for more money and I have not done it. I just get like, oh, they want me. I say yes, let's just do it. Like just so
it goes back to that thing, you feel flattered, right?
Yeah, like, oh, they want me. They want me. Yeah. And so the advice to my future self would be slow down. Let's put our business panties on and I say, one, don't be scared to ask for what you're worth. And two, ahead of time, know what that number is before you even start. Like, when they give you the offer, if it's not what you're thinking, then you need to figure out, and sometimes you need to make that decision in the moment. But I think, one, know what your number is or what it could be. And I would say add some to that.
Yeah.
But also don't be afraid to ask and be prepared for that. Like, assume you're going to ask whatever they offer you, you should ask for more.
Yeah.
I think. So I mean, in not all the scenarios, but in the opportunities where I've had where I've had an opportunity to ask for more, I have not. Okay. So I would say
that's the advice you'd give
start with square one and just ask.
Perfect. I love it. So listen, why this matters, why is this important? Like I said, it's timely for me because I am in the job market. I'm living this dream come true now. But we've talked about this before. Women are still paid about 82 cents to the dollar compared to men. That's a hard fact. And listen, I get kicked out of a lot of girls' clubs for saying this. And I know that there's a pay gap. And I'm not saying that we're solely responsible for it, but I am saying that we have to take some ownership in that. 30% of women negotiate their salary compared to over 50% of men. So that pay gap, there's some of this that is controllable. And I want all of our listeners to walk away with something that you can control out of this to really close that gap. So, I always think for me, yes, it's about money, but there's a part of it that's not about money. It's about my value. It's about confidence. It's about, your career long-term. So all of that is why we are having this conversation today. And again, we just want to bring value to people that if you're not in this situation today, hopefully you will be in the future. One piece of advice that I give people all the time, and this has been my strategy over the last 10 years, is what is the number one way to negotiate a higher salary? And that is to get your ass up and move. Because I don't know if you guys have heard this before, you can do the best job in the world. You can crush it. You can work so hard. they're only going to give you so much of a raise. At the end of the day, the only way to negotiate the highest pay raise is to get up and move. So I think they say negotiating pay can make up for 3 years worth of raises just by moving jobs. That's crazy, especially for people like us, because we came from a school of what's it called? Loyalty. Loyalty. That word nowadays, I'm not going to go off in this tangent, but there's it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. So let's talk about some myths about salary negotiations. Have you guys heard them? Have you felt them, Corlin? You said that you would give your younger self that advice. What are the myths out there? Common myths out there when it comes to salary negotiation. What do we got?
I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about all the movies that you watch where there are people who in the movie or TV show or whatever, they BS their way into some position that they're not qualified for, and then they get the job, and then they're amazing at it, and then they like are super successful at it. And then I think about like real life, and I'm like, that's BS. Like I think like on the one hand, I love when you know you're qualified for the job and you are so confident, right, in what your salary should be because you know the job. But then there are those other times when you have the skills, like you can learn those other skills, but you have maybe the base skills and you're just not confident enough to like ask for the salary. And I was just like thinking about the difference between like watching that movie and going, oh, I could just BS my way into this job. But then real life, you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. Like, I don't know how to BS my way into this job, or I have no confidence to BS my way into this job or whatever. And you don't have to. Like, if you know what your like core skills are, you can learn all the technical stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can learn the technical
that is the
stuff
myth too, is that you
and
have
that's
to.
the myth.
Yeah. If you're thinking about doing a job change for a better pay or better, that you a lot of times females default to like, you read through, they've got 15 things on the list. You need to have all those 15 skills on your resume.
Yeah.
And historically and statistically speaking, guys maybe will say, I can do 2 of those things and I'll just figure out the rest of it.
Yes.
And so,
but we feel like we have to know all of them, right? But we don't have to know all of them. We could have the core things, right? And then as long as we have the confidence of being able to learn those other skills, whether it be on the job, which of course all women can freaking learn it on the job, I feel like we should, I mean, but we don't, right? We don't.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So here's my 5.
Thanks, Corlin. Sorry, I interrupted you. No. I was like so much.
You're like, so here's my 5 myths when it comes to salary negotiation that I hear the most. Number 1 is, and just stop me if one of these speak to you guys or if you want to add anything, but number 1 is negotiating will make me seem greedy. I've heard that dozens of times. And number 2, like they said, this is their final offer, but it's their first offer.
Can you back up?
Sure.
Where did you hear that?
So this is just when I am mentoring, when I'm having professional conversations, when I'm, just talking amongst peers, I hear that all the time. If I'm talking to someone and I'm like, okay, so you're ready, you're going to get the offer. And they're like, well, I don't want them to think, and I will say this, I'm not saying men don't say this, but I haven't heard, and I talk to men too. I haven't heard them say this. Women say, well, I don't want them to think that I'm greedy. Corlin, like you've heard that before?
Not necessarily, but I can see how that would play out because we've talked about this a lot in other episodes where it's that whole confidence thing and we are thinking what other people are thinking and they're not thinking that. Right. We're imagining a one-sided conversation that has never happened and never crossed it. But I feel like when I was doing a little bit more HR and hiring, that It's interesting to me the amount of people that we say, well, this is what we're offering you, and they get back to us, okay, we'll take it. There were very few people that, one, negotiated their salary, but negotiated nothing. And I know that there's opportunities on the table, and I know we'll get into this in a little bit, but it's not just your salary, it's extra vacation time. Had I known then what I know now, it's just like any other sales thing. If I don't get some sort of deal or some sort of thing, but I think that there's a fear of losing what you don't have, that if you ask it, maybe they'll say no, or it's going to change their perception.
And
but
like,
on top of going into a professional role, I would say a company would default to somebody who's can ask for what they want and say what they feel and not be scared to say the thing in the room. Because that's the
Especially
kind
if
of
it's a
person we want
sales
to work
job.
with.
Especially if it's a sales job.
Especially a sales job.
Let me tell you, as a hiring manager, when I have a sales role and I make an offer and they don't negotiate, you know what I want to do? I want to retract my damn offer. I'm telling you, I'm like, what? And I always feel a little discouraged when I'm hiring a salesperson and they don't negotiate their pay. I will just say that right now. So that's the first thing I'm going to say to salespeople. You better ask for more. But going back to my myth. So negotiating will make me look greedy. The offer is final when it's their first offer. And, this thought of I should just be grateful. I don't want them to think that I'm not grateful or that I'm pushy. I've heard that. And here's I work really hard at my job. I thought that I would automatically be rewarded. So let's say, for example, you get a promotion to another role in the same org, that people sometimes are assumptive that they're going to get the best offer because they've done a really good job at the role. No, you still have to negotiate. And then it's not all about salary. That's the fifth one I had here. And so we talked a little bit about that. Now let's talk about how to actually get into that negotiation process, meaning you get the offer. Corlin, you said a little bit about this too. So the first thing I would say is do your homework. What do you guys have to say about that? What does that mean? How do you do that?
How many resources are there? There's LinkedIn, there's Glassdoor, even just ChatGPT. You could ask any kind of search, what is the range for this role at this company? And with all the blogs and data that's out there, you could probably nail in a pretty accurate salary window of what's even capable. And so if they offer you 100, if the window is 100 to 125 and they give you 105,
ooh,
then
Corlin,
you
they
know
got that good job. I like the numbers you're using. Go ahead.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you just like, if there's a established window and they start off on the low end, then if you've done your homework, you can be confident that we can squeeze a little bit more. Maybe you're not going to get to 125, but you might get to 115, which if you started off at 105, it'll take you several years of promotions and advancements to get to 115 when you could have just started off there in the first place.
5 minutes. In 5 minutes. 2 seconds, like you said, ChatGPT. But here, I believe one day we're going to see every job posting in America will have to have a job range. There are some companies who are already doing it.
LinkedIn just decided, I feel, or Indeed maybe. You can't get visibility on your postings if you don't have a salary window.
Really?
If they're going away with, you can't post things on Indeed. And you can fact check me, but I'm 99% sure that you get penalized with your job posting if you don't have a salary range on your postings.
Okay. Now, with that, I'm going to call BS on those salary ranges. Okay. It gives you something. I'm going to be thankful. I'm grateful. I don't want to poo-poo all over it, but I'm going to call BS on it. Don't take that as your know-all and think, well, now I don't have to do the research because they gave me the information. No. Do your own research. Fact check that. Make sure that that's actual information. Also, I had to learn this the hard way. Recruiters, those damn recruiters, they will try to trip you up and kill your negotiation in the beginning. You guys experience this? They want to ask you right in the beginning of the conversation, what's your pay range? What are you looking for? Where are you at? How do you guys answer that question without messing up your negotiation in the very beginning? Because they're there to trip you up.
Well, I have to say that
the crickets equal. I have never worked with a recruiter before, so I don't have a say so in this.
Okay, well, I'm good for you, Corlin, because I'm telling
good for you.
There's some good ones out there. Let me not, because I have some good friends that are recruiters, and I'm going to need those recruiters. So I don't need to shit all over the recruiters right now. But I'm just saying that they will ask you, Jamie, have you ever been asked the question at the beginning of the process, what is the pay that you are looking for? Or where are you currently at? Or those type of questions. How do you answer that without messing up your negotiation from the beginning? Because again, when you guys hear those questions, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to tie you down, and they are making a note, and they got you at that very point in the beginning.
You are so cynical. I love you, Jessica.
I will say to that
I
it's
love
not
you.
a recruiter, but when I've interviewed people, one of the questions that I ask is, what is your current salary range? And
why are you asking?
Because I want to be, you know why I'm asking, because I want to know what we're going to offer you. Right. And I want to know. And so it's my question, and everybody answers it, and so they shouldn't, but they do.
Right.
I do every single time. No, I do every single time. I've been recruited twice. Both times I got, first time I got probably a ballpark 25% raise. Second time I got a 50% salary raise. I mean, literally, I was just completely honest. I was like, here's where I'm at now. Here's my goal. If you think I can do this and make that goal, then cool, set up the interview. And the second one was, I'm not kidding, 5 times the salary of my current role. The role I'm at now is 5 times the salary of my current role.
Well, that's super.
And it was like, blessing. And it was but it was a recruiter, and I just, okay, so my take is probably completely different than everyone else's, but I'm just like, no BS. Like, I'm just like, here's where I'm at. I'm like, if you want me to jump ship, I'm about to get 60 grand in commission in the next 2 months. Match that and bump it up. Like, this is what I need to have. Here's what I need, benefits wise. If you literally want me to change my entire life, my insurance, my life, everything in my career, change my everything, you're going to have to give me a really, really good offer.
Yeah.
And then they did.
Good negotiation. You knew, but here's the thing. You knew exactly what you want. You asked for it. But I think as a best practice, if we lined up 1,000 people, if someone says in the recruiting process, what money are you looking for? I promise you, this is the best answer. Right now, I am more interested in seeing if I'm a good fit for the role and the role is a good fit for me. When we get to the point of salary, I'm sure we can work out something that's fair. But let me ask you, what is the range for this role? That's good old DB answering questions, acknowledge it, briefly answer it, ask a question back to gain control, because I'm in control of this conversation. That answer, I promise you, if you guys need to write it down, rewind, whatever you do on this thing, and and write it down, because that answer, and I've given people that have failed miserably in this process, and they've come back and said, oh my God, where was that line 5 freaking jobs ago? So, and they're always like, they're thrown off, because they're like, and then they have to give you that range, even if it wasn't posted in the job, because you asked them the question. Now you have the power, you have the information, you write it down, and now because otherwise you don't know if you're lowballing yourself. you don't know if they're paying other people, much more. You're never going to know that, but that's the way I would handle that question. And I've gotten feedback and I've gotten really good results from that as well. So the next thing I want to talk about is knowing your value. Again, Corlin, you mentioned that as well. What does that mean? How do you use that in your negotiation? How do you articulate that? Help me.
I will say, I think the negotiation part of it, there's a little bit of a perfect storm. In Jamie's scenario, you had a job. And so I feel like your confidence is, and I was in the same boat too. Like, I feel like your confidence level when you have a job and you're being recruited, you're naturally a little bit more aggressive with what you're asking for. Do you guys agree with that?
That's a great point.
And then also that married with how hungry is the person recruiting you? Are you their first week, or are you their 10th week or a year where they've already been through a couple horrible hires and we just need to get somebody? So if you can get that perfect storm, which is a little bit of God, a little sprinkle of God in there.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a story that I was recruited. A friend of mine that I used to work with had called me up and said, I have a sales role that's open for you. And I was in a current role, kind of interested in going, but I also very satisfied with my position. And so when
I've never gotten one of those calls, by the way, I'm jealous. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You will. Yeah. But so then when I go out there, I'm like your posture and my attitude towards even asking questions is hypercritical. Like, is this worth my move? Is it because it was going to be out of state, a new industry, learning a bunch of things? And when you're comfortable where you're at, going someplace different, it's a lot of work. And so we had worked together. I interviewed pretty well. I got the word that they wanted to hire me, and they said, well, what is it going to take to get you here? And I just blew out what my current salary was, what my husband's salary was, plus a little extra, because if we moved out of state, we weren't going to have any help and that he would have to stay home. And they said, done. And so
right.
But then I was like, well, we're moving way out of state and I'm going to need some help moving. We'll give you $10,000 to move. Okay. Well, I've never been to the state before. We'll fly you and your husband out, come out here.
I don't have a car.
Yeah. And so it was one of those things that and I've never been through the negotiation process at all, but I'm thinking about this all in the moment. What are the things that I want? Which, again, not good advice because I wasn't really prepared, but I was just kind of thinking on the spot. I interviewed well, but they really wanted me. It was a perfect storm of a really good match for me, but also they really wanted somebody to fill that role. So it was I'm just going to ask for the stars, and they happen to say yes. And so it's it's
but
one of those things. But I asked.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfect example of knowing your value. Now, here's a couple of ways you can articulate your value. I love when I'm done with an interview to send a thank you note, right? That is, and just so we know, I don't want to get into, that's more interviewing, but I will disqualify someone if they don't send a thank you note. To me, that's like interviewing 101. But in my thank you note, I am putting 3, maybe 5 bullets, depending on how the interview went, of why, and just a reminder of who I am and my skills. Know your value, and that's the first place you're articulating your value in your thank you note, planting those seeds of why, not just why you're going to hire me, but why you're going to pay top dollar for me. And so now I'm going to take those same skills, and when they send me that offer, now, depending on how it works, sometimes people do that over the phone. I actually like when it's a little bit of both, because what I do is I'll say, well, I want to talk to my husband about that. Thank you very much. And I'll certainly get back to you. And then I always get back to them in an email, because I believe putting something in writing sometimes makes it a little more powerful. And what I'm saying in that communication, first and foremost, I am so grateful for you taking the time to put this offer together for me. And I am excited to get started in this role. That is so important, because if I'm going to be a little forceful for what I'm asking, I got to make sure that I'm starting off in a tone where they understand that I am grateful, right? That I'm not ungrateful. I'm grateful. I'm excited. But here's the thing. I have a bachelor's in leadership, master's in psychology, leadership in this program, leadership, and I'm going to name all those things right there. Every big deal that I've done in the last 5 years. Now, based on that, I understand the pay range for this role is this. And based on my background, 27 years, that sounds freaking crazy, but
That's weird because you're only 29, so
right,
how does that math
I
work?
know, it's crazy. And so this is how I'm articulating that in writing. And now we got ChatGPT. So listen, after you write it and say how you want to write it, ask ChatGPT, please, to rewrite it for you and make sure that you have a professional tone, right? And you seem grateful because you want the hiring manager to actually hire you. And so use those tools that we have now, send it off, and then, say, so I was thinking, now I'm going to go to Jamie's, that, maybe we can get to maybe 175 salary, and maybe a $30,000 sign-on bonus, a relocation package for 15,000, and an additional week of PTO. Ask for more, because if you ask for more, even if they try to shrink it down, you're still going to get more than you would have gotten otherwise. So that's how I would articulate that. Anything that you guys want to add to that? I mean, if you're the hiring manager, how would you feel receiving that email?
Do you ever think that there's a challenge of asking for so much that you are getting yourself out of the range of what they're willing to cover? Or I feel like I've told people this on the other end, that I feel like you're overqualified for this position based on what you're asking for.
Well, then I want to let them tell me that. Here's another myth. If I ask for too much, then they're going to renege on their offer. No, they're not. They're going to say, and by the way, I wouldn't necessarily ask for all of those things. I was just throwing out different things.
Yeah.
But I would ask for something outside of money, because I want to let them know that I'm open to other things other than money, is why I'm, putting it out there. But no, I don't think that's the case. Well, first of all, I'm hoping that, the role is a role that I'm not overqualified for, that, I really want, and that aligns with my skills, experience, and background. So that's the first thing I'll say. But I want them to say, and again, I think it makes me look great. I mean, I've had people come, doesn't mean they always say yes. You know what's funny? I have given so many other people this blueprint, and it's worked more times for other people than it's worked for me. So I know it's not the blueprint that's broken. Maybe it's me. I don't know. But I've had people say, wow, this tells me a lot about you, because the way you went about this was very professional and very, again, especially in sales roles, they always make reference to, I see you're a master negotiator. And sometimes I've even, where they've come back and said, no, I can do this. And I'm like, well, can you do this and this? Like, I don't just stop there. And then I've gone back and forth with people. And again, I feel like I get more than I started with. So it's a big missed opportunity if we are not asking for more. If you guys have any other questions, I know we're out of time. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Feel free to reach out, send us a message if you have any other questions about salary negotiation, or if you want me to go deeper into something, we are happy to do that. But remember, Subscribe if you are watching this on YouTube. If you are not, go to YouTube and watch it and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok. Check us out at leadlikeagirllab.com and all of that good stuff. But thank you again for your listenership. We really appreciate it. And share this with someone who you know could also get value out of it. So that's all I got. Until next time.